All right, so hopefully you can see my screen. Both of my computers are moving a little bit slower. One thing that you have to do before you get started, I don't know where you are with your Pear Deck path, but if you're new to it, the first thing that you want to make sure you do is to get the add-on. Pear Deck does work with Google Slides. A question came up in one of the sessions for the tech help desk this morning. If you have existing presentations in PowerPoint and you wanted to bring them in, you could upload your slides by going to my drive and just doing a file upload. So you don't have to start from scratch. If you have some things already that you used or you have used in the past, you can upload those files. And when you open it the first time in Google, it's going to ask you, the system will ask you, do you want to open it with Google Slides? And then you'll get a slide presentation that's in this format. And Google Slides will have an add-ons option. So if you click add-ons, you will want to get the Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on. That can be found by clicking get add-ons. I'm not going to click that right now because I know from my previous session it's moving a little bit. If it doesn't come up as one of the first featured ones, it's probably one of the most popular ones, so it might show up for you right away. You will then have the option to install it. And the next time you launch Google Classroom, or even actually within the same presentation, once it's done installing, you will see now the Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on. And then you want to open that up. So you will then be able to see what I'm looking at over on the right-hand side, and it's reloading because I clicked it again. So over on the right, you'll see Pear Deck and have the options there. So in order to be able to build in interactive slides questions, use their templates, or ask a question, you'll have to present with Pear Deck and add these to your slides. So your existing presentation may not have interactive questions within it yet, but you'll want to build it from here. So I'm going to show you how to use the find things in the template library, ask questions, or add your own multiple choice questions or just a text-based question, and even add audio to your slide. But I first want to start this presentation so that you can see it join as a student and walk through seeing some of the things that as the way the students would see it. So I'm going to start lesson. Before I do that, I want to point out over on the right, the 3 bars here is kind of like your menu for Pear Deck. So if you click on that, you will notice the first time by default, this was pointed out to me last week by Ms. Fairchild, if you slide that over, you want to do that to require student logins. Otherwise, it'll be anonymous. So I didn't remember doing that in the summer, but I guess I did because as teachers answered questions, I was able to see who answered what. So you want to make sure you slide that over. The first time, I forgot to mention, when you click on the add-on for Pear Deck, you might go through their setup where you have to put in your, Graham C at EHT, and then it, sets up your profile. All of our at eht.k12.nj.us user accounts are whitelisted, so that means that you will automatically be placed into the premium features. So some of the features that I'm going to show are premium. Not everyone has access, like pulling out the teacher dashboard later on to review sessions and get, responses to questions. Some of those things, some of the items in the galleries are more premium versions, but you will have that as long as you sign in and sign up with your EHT account. All right. So once we've initiated that, I'm going to go ahead and start the lesson. And I want to point out that there's a couple of ways. So there's a student paced mode and there's an instructor paced mode. So student paced is if the students are working on their own, or let's say they were absent from your live session, but you still wanted them to be able to go through the slides, do the interactive pieces, you can assign this as student paced mode. You'll get a link that you can share with those students who were not there. Or if there are students, when we go into the hybrid environment, or even now on Mondays, if you want to do this asynchronously, and just have the students walk through and answer the questions as they're going through your slides. They can be answering the questions and still having that interactive piece without you actually presenting the slides to them. So you put it in student paced mode, and then you give them the link. That can be shared through Google Classroom. If you're 6th through 12th or 5th through 12th, you can send it through email. Or I'm sorry, 6th through 12th. So most of us will do instructor paste for your live lessons. So while you're live, you're going to click on instructor paste, and that's the one I'm going to show today. When I click on that, you're going to see the option for how your students will join. As soon as it comes up, I'll show you. So while it's loading, there's a couple of ways you will get a link. So you can assign it, copy the link and post it to your Google Classroom. There's also the join code. So if the students open a separate tab and just type in joinpd.com, they can enter this code in. Or you'll see now there's an invite class. I think all of you should be able to see that now. Mike Sweeter turned on last week and enabled this. Some of us that attended in the workshop in the summer went through and actually set this up by going to the Pear Deck, website and setting up the link with their Google Classroom. But now this should be available to you all. So the only difference is when you invite a class, and I'm not going to click it because just from before it was moving a little bit slow. It will show me my list of Google Classrooms. And if I can check off the Google Classroom that I want to assign and click invite. And then what happens is the students now, when they click the tab joinpd.com, they will see this presentation, interactive tools, or whatever your presentation is called with the title slide, and they can just click on it. So it just saves them a step from having to type in the join code. I think it's just as easy to go to joinpd.com and type this in, or copy and paste the link to your Google Classroom as an announcement. So you'll find the one that works best for you. So right now, go ahead and join this. And I'm going to do the same. And I should start seeing it populate with how many students are connected down here at the bottom. All right. And we're moving. Okay. All right, so I think most of you are in. While I'm on the screen, before I close out, I'm going to go ahead and open the teacher dashboard because I want to show that to you in this session. So before you actually close this, after you sent your invite link, you can open your teacher dashboard. But I'm going to just point out that this is not necessarily what you want to show to the students. Okay. So the link, once you get the link, you would just copy and paste that into your Google Classroom. So then I can, just go here, and then in my training class, I can just make it as an announcement. Create an announcement, and I could just copy and paste the link in here. So I can just say, our Pear Deck presentation for 9/21, and then just copy and paste there. I don't know what, I think I just have the presentation, the how-to document for my last session copy. But anyway, that would be the link, and then you could just post it. And so when the students log in, right, they're trained to log into their classroom, go to their Google Meet link, they'll see it as the post there so they can join it. All right, let me go back here. Wrong one. All right, and then I'm going to just open out that dashboard just so I have it to be able to show you. But again, when you're presenting your screen, you don't necessarily want to put that dashboard up. That will show specific student answers, and that's not necessarily what you want to show live. You will be able to show student responses, but you don't need to show it from the dashboard. Oh, all right. I know that. Okay, I'm just going to minimize that. All right, so now here we are. You should be on this first slide. One of the things that you can add, and it was just under the templates, is audio. So I told the last group that this is an additional tool that you might want to use. So you know how like on the asynchronous Mondays currently, and when we go into the hybrid situation, when the students are 2 days doing asynchronous, you can actually record your audio on a slide. So if you wanted to narrate through the slides where you're going through the actual, presentation, the graph, whatever, the information that's on the slide, you can present that. And then when the students are there, you should be able to click on that audio of me just kind of explaining. So I see it on my screen, and you probably will see it on yours too, a little like headset. And when I click on that and hit play, I can actually hear myself.
I can use this slide to discuss things.
Talking through the how to use the audio. All right, so that could be you narrating the slide. And then again, if I go, I'm just going to move forward now just to show you. I want to just navigate to one of the questions. So this came up in the last session, and I added one. Someone wanted to just be able to have the students write a response. I don't need like a template that says, KWL or any of those templates. I just want a slide. So there were some, and I'll show you those question types when we get out of this. You can just have them. This is just a text slide. So you will still have to make it. So the question is, if I just had my slide presentation, can I just have a blank slide and have the students write on it? You will still have to add a a Pear Deck slide that's text. So that's how Pear Deck connects that. Okay, you want this particular slide to be interactive. All right, so you can't just have just your regular Google slide blank and say write on this. It has to be one of the Pear Deck options. So now when you all in this mode, if you could just write a word on here, just anything. So now I can answer the question. So, the teacher you would tell the students what they're writing about, right? It could be a short answer, or I'm just going to write a word that describes my experience with Pear Deck. So, not at all, very experienced, or in the middle. You can just answer that. Okay, just a word that describes your experience with Pear Deck. Are you in the middle, very experienced, or not experienced at all? All right. And then I just want to show you on my screen now, when I click show responses, I'm going to see what people are saying here. All right. Notice that there's no names, right? I don't have to worry about students seeing how other people answered. And then I can also, on your end, lock your screens so that now you'll get the same message that I have on my cell phone, that the screen's locked, you can't change your answer. So this is good as you're displaying and you want to go over, just to kind of freeze the kids so they can't keep changing their answers, and you go through some of the responses. All right. Now, if I unlock and I can hide my responses, I can move forward again. So they're moving forward with you. And, so when the students open up another tab, or they're open up their Google Classroom and they see your link to the Pear Deck, one of the questions was, do they have to go back to your Google Meet session? And not necessarily, because they still have that open in a tab, but they may just have the Pear Deck tab open because they're walking through the slides with you. All right, you're still going to be able to see them because their camera's on, right? And they're still there. They're just in another tab, so they don't have to really flip back and forth between Meet and the Pear Deck tab. All right, so I think this was students enter a number. All right, I forget what I asked on that slide from this summer. I'm just going to go to another one where I added one of the questions where you had to drag something. All right, so this one was just asking students to drag an icon, or the staff members in this example, of what video recording tools they used in the spring of 2020. And so just take that red dot and you'll be able to just drag that. I know some of you use more than one, but just put the one you use the most. And if not, just put it in none. All right, and again, in like another 10 seconds, I'm going to lock the screen just to show you where we are. All right, and now if I show responses, I can see that. And again, nothing here on my end. So let me show you the difference when I'm in dashboard, because I did open that somewhere. Here it is. Here's my dashboard view. So look at the difference in dashboard view. So this is kind of like your view as the teacher to be able to see. Now I want to go back and see how specific people are responding. So a couple of ways I can see how now when I hover over them, I can see who answered what. As well as you can get your session answers and then export that. So I want to show you, I'll show you that in another screen when we end this session. And then if I go back up to my original extended response or open-ended, see how now I can see specific responses. All right. So again, that's not the view you necessarily want to show while you're presenting with this, with the students. You want to be in the presentation mode, and you can show your responses this way as well. All right. And then what's nice is during the middle of your presentation, if you just, you decide, let me put a question up right here. I've shared a lot of information. I kind of want to see where they are. There is an option here to add a new prompt. So if I click on the option for a new prompt, I can have them reflect. I can have them, write something they remember, or I forgot to put an anticipatory set. I can throw that up in the beginning. And then there are some options to add from their templates as well. So if I want to just throw a true false, I understand this, thumbs up, thumbs down type of thing. A quick temperature check of how they're getting the information. You could throw that question up and then have the students respond to it. So, that's my current content. Yep. So you can add these right in the middle of your presentation. You don't have to go back and edit. You can do it while you're doing it. So if I say, okay, how well are you understanding Pear Deck and using it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. So go ahead and take a minute, answer that. Should show on your screen. You guys have it on your screen? Oh, I'm still locked, I think. Let me unlock it. Okay, mine's just a little slow. So again, you drag your little icon there, and then I can show my response to see where we're at. And there we go. So people are getting it. Good. All right. So I'm going to hide my responses. Now, let me just get out of this. And I'm going to end it. I want to show you when I end this session, I've gone through my entire presentation. When I choose to end it, you will get the option to name it. And this is going to be important because if you wanted to go back and see how the students are doing it, if you're using this for, because Linkit can be used for formative assessment. You can use it to assess the student, for assess them through a formative assessment method. You can use it for classroom engagement. But you can also use it for social well-being check. There's social emotional templates in there to kind of see where they are. So if you wanted to be able to go back and see the responses, because you don't, again, want the dashboard to be pulled up in front of the entire class, you're going to name it. And if you forget to name it, or you click out of this really quickly, the class is ending and you want to wrap up, you can still kind of figure out which period it was, because it does date and timestamp it, even though it's unnamed. So I'm just going to name this training and today's date. This is the 305. So save and end session. I know we're pretty much out of time, but I do want to show a couple things. So if you can hang on with me, that'd be great. All right. So now if I'm in my Pear Deck and how do I get back to see my dashboard? I didn't open it up in another window like I did in the beginning. You can still get to it. Once you launch your Pear Deck session, if you go here where it says review sessions and click on the little arrow to pop it out, it will show you a list of sessions that you have previously, captured. So here are my active sessions. After 30 days, it puts it in the archive folder, and that's okay because you can kind of pull it back out if you need it to get. You just click on it and move it to active. While it's loading, it's going to show all of my sessions, and then I can go back and now see the teacher dashboard view if I wanted to get individual student results and how they answered it. You could see some of my sessions I failed to end because they still say they're live. And you can see the difference. So this one was a student paced one. I made it student paced so I can go back and share that link for those students who are doing it on their own. And then if I wanted to, here's the option where I can this one isn't student paced already. But if I wanted to make this one, reopen the session and make it student paced, I could do that. Or once it's closed, I can export to a spreadsheet. So I'm going to click on one. Yeah, maybe I'll do this one that we have. Let's see what comes up because we did have some answers. So we'll give you spreadsheet results because this question came up earlier today as well. Of course, the ones where they kind of have to move it to an area, you would have to go through that and decide if that's a correct answer or not. But here are my students and here are the results. So you can get an exported, excuse me, results from each student that you can use if you needed to use that for some type of assessment score. All right. And then of course, any Untitled session, like I said, dates and timestamps it so you could go back and figure out. And then you could see when you view the teacher dashboard mode, you can actually see the students' responses. So you'll be able to tell which class it is by just looking at the list of names. All right. Of course, I picked one probably that has nobody. So this wasn't a good example. All right. So just a couple more things in this. This is where you would go in to find the template. So if you have your session, remember your presentation is all the things that you're going to go through. And then later on, you'll go in and add your Pear Deck options. So this presentation was created with all the stuff that I wanted, and then I built in the interactive pieces. So again, if you want just a question, if you want them to be able to type in text, you literally click on the text and it will take a second and then add that question right to my Google slide. Now, wherever you have your mouse clicked, whatever slide you're on, it will plug it in there. So if you needed to move things around, I can move it. I don't really want it after this particular slide. You can do that just like you would with your regular slides. You can have multiple choice. So these are, again, more generic. You can plug in your information. So you can insert your choices here and you would just read that response to them. So again, you have to think about if you're in student pace, the questions where you would be narrating it to the students, you would probably have to do a recording because obviously when they're home, they can't get on it on their own. All right. And then, so again, this is how you add the audio. You just click on the add audio to slide. It's going to take a minute to launch. And then you can just click the record button. And as long as you have where it picks up your sound on a mic, you pause it, save it. You can play it back to make sure it's to your liking. And then you add the audio to the slide. And so they would get the information that they need on that slide if you wanted to have like a written response and you wanted to give them a description of what they were doing. All right. And then the templates gallery. If you go in here, there are things that you can do like for, again, anticipatory sets, do nows. There are questions that you can add during the lesson, end of lesson. There are templates in there. There are a bunch of them. Critical thinking templates. So making connections, notice and wonder. interpret, draw conclusions. So they're just basically slides that kind of have some information already built in for you. There are content area templates as well as information for the younger littles, K to 2. So fill in the missing letter, some math equations, add the symbols that makes the equation correct. There's some charting, some money, clocks. So there are different templates in here that you'd be able to use for each content area. And there's even world languages. I thought there was an ELL section they had too. Might be under their other templates. But yeah, there are tons of templates that you can use, but you can create your own questions. And then the important thing to remember is that when you start your presentation, make sure you start the lesson from Pear Deck. Don't just do a regular present as we would with a regular Google slide, because then you don't have all the interactive features. All right. Are there any questions? Oh, before I forget, there are some resources that Pear Deck shared. I want to post. I'm going to put it in the calendar event that I invited you to. So because that's where I have everybody. I'll put it right in the detail of today's calendar event. So there's some quick guides. There's their hour-long webinar that you can listen to at your convenience. And there's just some smaller informational videos as well as a document. And they'll be sharing more things with us too as time goes along. We're hoping to have Pear Deck do a session for us. We have a PD day coming up first week of October. So we're hoping to have somebody from the company present. So as you start playing and trying things out more, you might have some more specific questions. So they'll be here so you can get, questions from the content area creators. So that will be good. All right, let me jump back to the meet. And I'll stop presenting. And there's not much in the chat, but does anyone have any questions? Anything I didn't go over that you wanted to address? Oh, okay. So Lindsay said she tried to add an audio. It just takes you to the Pear Deck main page. So if you're creating your own slide as the teacher, you can only play it when you actually join it. So that audio that I tried, when I try to click it, it doesn't do anything. But as soon as I join my presentation, start presenting and join it, then I can hear it. So you won't be able to hear it. You can only hear it when that test came up where I can play it back before I add the recording. You can test it out there, but you won't be able to play it back in teacher mode. You almost have to join it as a student to listen to what the students will hear. And then Sue was asking, can you add a Pear Deck slide to a Google slide presentation? Yes. So that's what essentially we did today. So that was just my regular Google slide presentation. All those slides you saw there about virtual teaching and learning, those were created first. And then I added the templates, used the templates from Pear Deck to add that. All right, I'll be on for a few more minutes for those who have questions, those who have to run. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have further questions, you can always email me later, and I'll be on for a little bit for anybody else who has specific questions.